Welcome students, my name is Raman Singh Chauhan. We will be talking today about the topic conditions of laser action. So, condition for large stimulated emissions. So, we know that the basic principle which is involved for laser operation or laser action is stimulated emission. So, for laser action we must have dominance of stimulated emission. So, for dominance of stimulated emission, what we require that the process of stimulated emission must dominate over absorption and spontaneous emission. So, for determining the conditions, we will take on dominance of stimulated emission, first on absorption and then on spontaneous emission. So, first we are taking stimulated transition, that is we are taking dominance of stimulated emission over spontaneous emission. So, here we are taking the ratio R1 as ratio of stimulated transition over spontaneous transition. Stimulated transitions are what? These are transition because of stimulated emission, that is when a particle is in higher energy state and that is in interaction with external agency. Then because of that external agency, electromagnetic field of that external agency or photon, incident photon, emission takes place and the excess energy is released in the form of a photon, which photon is coherent with the incident photon. And spontaneous emission or spontaneous transitions are because of spontaneous emission, where particle in the higher energy state of its own releases the energy in the form of photon and moves to the lower energy state. So, we know that ratio R1 will be equal to B21 rho nu N2 over A21 N2, where B21 is Einstein's B coefficient of stimulated emission and A21 is Einstein's A coefficient of spontaneous emission. Rho nu is energy density, that is number of photons per unit volume in the light beam or light source, which is the external agency. N2 is population of higher energy state or excited energy state. So, from here we can see that this will be equal to B21 over A21 rho nu, which is equal to B21 tau rho nu, because we know A21 is equal to 1 upon tau. So, we will get B21 tau rho nu. So, using the value of rho nu from Planck's law, that is energy density, from Planck's radiation law, we get R1 is equal to V21 over A21 8 pi h mu q upon c q, where nu is frequency, mu is refractive index of the medium, c is velocity of light, and into 1 upon e raised to h nu over kt minus 1. So, from Einstein's relations, we know B21 upon A21 is equal to B12 upon A21, that is equal to CQ upon 8 pi h mu q. So, we will put this value and we will get that R1 is equal to 1 upon e raised to h nu over kt minus 1. Now, we can assume nu, that is we are using generally yellow light and medium wavelength, that is nu is equal to 5 into 10 raised power 14 hertz frequency of yellow light, and temperature T is equal to 2000 Kelvin. The value of h nu over kt is 11.99. So, therefore, R1 is equal to 1 upon e raised to 11.99 minus 1, that is equal to 6 into 10 raised power minus 6. So that shows that in the optical region, spontaneous emissions dominate over the stimulated emission. From here, from this value, we can see that R1 is less than 1, because we know this is 6 into 10 raised power minus 6. So that will be come along 0.0000006. So that is 0.0000006 means it is very less than 1, and it means that the denominator, that is the spontaneous emission, is dominating over stimulated emission. So from here we can see in normal conditions that it is not possible to have dominance of stimulated emission over spontaneous emission, and hence for large number of stimulated emissions, the light field density rho nu present within the material is required to be enhanced, and for large number of stimulated emissions, the lifetime tau is required to be large. So from here we can see that this is B21 tau rho nu, because B21 is constant and tau is lifetime, average lifetime of higher energy state, and rho nu is energy density. So from here, if we want dominance of stimulated transitions, what we require tau must be very large and energy density must be very large. So for that, we can find out two conditions, that tau must be very large and rho nu must be very large. On the basis of that, we find first condition, for large number of stimulated emissions, the light field density rho nu present within the material is required to be enhanced. That is, number of photons per unit volume present in the light beam or external light source must be very large. We must enhance the energy density. And the second one, that we must choose those species which are having a suitable lifetime or a large lifetime tau, so that we can have dominance of stimulated emission over spontaneous emission. Now we will talk about dominance of stimulated transitions over absorption transitions. So we will find the ratio R2, that is stimulated transitions over absorption transitions, where we have V21 rho nu N2 over V12 rho nu N1, where V21 is Einstein's B coefficient of stimulated emission and V12 is Einstein's B coefficient of Einstein's B coefficient of absorption. So from here we get, since we know V21 is equal to V12, so we get R2 is equal to N2 upon N1, where N2 is population of higher energy state and N1 is population of lower energy state. So from here, at thermodynamic equilibrium, we know N2 upon N1 is very less than 1, and hence absorption transitions dominates over stimulated transition. So from here we can see, if we want dominance of stimulated emission over absorption, then the population must be inverted, that is N2 must be very large than the N1. So for this we have the condition that N2 must be very greater than N1, and to achieve more stimulated emissions, the population N2 of the excited state should be made larger than the population of N1 of the lower energy state. So in this way we can have the three conditions to be satisfied for stimulated emissions to overwhelm the absorption and spontaneous emissions are: the population inversion of excited energy level should be greater than, the population of excited energy level should be greater than that at the lower energy level, the lifetime of excited energy level should be large, and the radiation density in the medium should be very large. So here what we have, that we have three conditions, in which one condition, the first one here, is showing the dominance of stimulated emission over absorption, where we have the population of excited energy level should be greater than that at the lower energy level. Means we are having large number of particles in the excited energy level than those in lower energy level, so that when a light beam is provided or photons per unit volume or external light source is provided, then the photons are having greater chance of interaction with the population of higher energy level, and when they are having greater chance of interaction with the population of higher energy level, then there is a larger possibility that stimulated emission will take place. And the second point and third point, or the condition second and condition third, is showing the dominance of stimulated emission over spontaneous emission. So here the lifetime of excited energy level should be large. That is, the lifetime of higher energy level is large. It means that when lifetime is large, the particles in the higher energy level will remain there for a longer time, and when they are there at longer time, then possibility of interaction, because if the lifetime is small, they are living there in the excited state for a shorter span of time, and then before any external photon is interacting, they are moving to the lower energy state of spontaneously or randomly of their own, without any involvement of external agency. So here, if the lifetime is high, then there is chance of interaction, because they will remain there for a longer time and possibility of interaction will increase. And similarly, the third point, the radiation density in the medium should be very large, means when there are large number of photons per unit volume, then interaction possibility of photons with the excited energy level population will increase, and ultimately the stimulated emission will dominate over other two phenomena of absorption and spontaneous emission. So what is population inversion? Laser operation required obtaining stimulated emission exclusively. In population inversion, that the population of higher energy state must be higher or larger than the population of lower energy state. But conventionally or in equilibrium state, we have that the population of lower energy state is never less than the population of higher energy state. It can be at most equal to the population of higher energy state. So we are creating a condition, or we are inverting the population. So that's why this condition is called population inversion. In population inversion, we can have that n2 upon n1 is equal to e raised to minus e2 minus e1 upon kt, that is Boltzmann distribution. So from here we can see that if we are expecting that n2 upon n1 must be larger, or n2 must be higher than the n1, then the only possibility is that the temperature must be negative, because otherwise, if temperature is not negative, this e raised to minus some positive value will come, and that will be tending towards 0, that is n2 upon n1 will be very small. So here this is possible for temperature to be negative, which is actually practically not possible, but this state where we are having population inversion is showing that temperature is negative. That's why this is called negative temperature state. It doesn't mean that we can attain temperatures below absolute zero. It implies a non-equilibrium state. Population inversion state is attained at normal temperatures. Metastable state, we will talk about metastable state. As we know that for dominance of stimulated emission over spontaneous emission, we must have higher we must have a life excited state with larger lifetime. So for larger lifetime, because all the species are not having a larger lifetime, and this is possible that when we are having some species which are having some states, energy states which are having larger lifetime, such states which are temporarily stable states are called meta-stable states. And meta-stable states supports dominance, supports in dominance of stimulated emission, because the lifetime of meta-stable states is 10 raised to power minus 3 seconds to 10 raised to power minus 5 seconds around. So, for establishing population inversion, the excited atoms are required to wait at the upper Laging level till a large number of atoms accumulate at the level, at that level. So, for meta-stable states, what we require? These are such longer lived upper levels from where an excited atom does not return to lower level at once, but remain excited for an appreciable time, are known as meta-stable states. That is, temporarily stable states means a particle will remain there for a longer time, so that it will have sufficient time for interaction with the photons in the external light source or external agency, and will interact and release energy with the stimulated emission. So, here foundation of laser operation, we can say foundation of laser operation is the existence of meta-stable states. Now, large radiation density. We know radiation density must be large. So, large radiation density increases interaction rate of high energy level, and this ultimately increases the rate of stimulated emission over spontaneous emission. So, what we say that number of photons per unit volume must be very large. When number of photons per unit volume are very large, then interaction of the photons with the population of higher energy state will increase, and when this interaction will increase, the stimulated emission will increase, and ultimately this stimulated emission rate will dominate over spontaneous emission. So these are the three conditions required for laser action. That is all for today. In the next topic, we will discuss some other concepts of laser. Thank you.